Welcome to Second Take. My name is Ashwin Berry. Today, we're in Zambia. The late Edgar Lungu, former president, unexpected long-distance jogger, and Zambia's most controversial chiropractor of constitutional limits, died, not in Lusaka, not even in Livingstone, but in Pretoria. Some go abroad for shopping, others for exile. Lungu chose medical treatment and ultimately his last breath. But if you thought death would silence the man, you underestimate both African politics and African families. On June 5, while the ANC was still licking wounds from its own funeral march into coalition chaos, Zambia was thrust into a different kind of funeral planning. One less about mourning and more about managing legacies, liability, and who gets to stand next to the coffin. President Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia's resident spreadsheet whisperer and full-time anti-corruption preacher, announced with all the solemnity of a man who knows his rival's ghost may still vote, Edgar Lungu would receive a state funeral. 7 days of mourning, flags at half-mast, and a venue at Belvedere Lodge, which, despite sounding like a retirement villa, is actually quite posh. But the Lungu family, flanked by their ever-present spokesperson, legal GPS Makebi Zulu, fired back like a court summons. They were not here for state capture casket edition. Yes, a state funeral was fine, lovely, in fact, but handing over total control to the government that once called Lungu corrupt? Absolutely not. They didn't want the state choreographing the eulogies like a performance for donors. They wanted autonomy. And perhaps in some corners of the PF's WhatsApp group, just one last political rally disguised as requiem. Now enter Act 2 of this grief-stricken melodrama, the repatriation. Lungu died in Pretoria from a condition called akalasia, though in Zambia's political discourse, akalasia has now replaced witch hunt as the preferred term for unexplained misfortune. The government planned to repatriate his body promptly. Military plane, full honors, the works. But the Lungu family, wary of what they called government hijacking, took matters into their own hands. Literally. They blocked the repatriation, organized a private memorial at Sacred Heart Cathedral, and whispered, "We'll let you know when we're ready." The body did not fly back on June 11 as planned, because in Zambia, even corpses now require press statements and legal briefings. Makebi Zulu, lawyer, spokesperson, and part-time wannabe exorcist of state overreach, delivered the family's message.
Ladies and gentlemen, a statement on behalf of the Edgar Lungu family from Joburg in South Africa. On Thursday, 5th June 2025, the 6th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Lungu, died here in South Africa. Following his death, the family has had several engagements with the government of the Republic of Zambia with two delegations. The first was led by Mr. Mlambo Haimbe, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the second by Mr. Enoch Kavindele, a former president who was deputized by Mr. Leslie Mbula, a former secretary to the cabinet. In the company of the said two was and is Mr. Patrick Kangwa, the current secretary to the cabinet. At the said meetings, it was made known that the family had already put in place all logistics to address the wishes of the deceased that his mortal remains be conveyed by the family privately and not the government of the Republic of Zambia, and that President Hakainde Hichilema should not be anywhere near the body of President Edgar Lungu for reasons that have since become common cause. The family is disturbed by the desire of the government of the Republic of Zambia to convey the mortal remains of the 6th Republican President in ways that suggest that they have no say, that is the family, that the family has no say in the manner the same will be conveyed and how they desire that he be mourned. In the conveyance of the remains, it is the desire of the family that the conscience of the deceased should not be betrayed and that the death of the 6th Republican President does not repose any superior rights to the government that exceed those of the family. In the said meetings, the government changed positions on proposals that they earlier said were agreeable after returning from purported consultations. The family finds it difficult to continue engaging with the government, which has preset conditions that suggest that the family has no say in the fundamental issues relating to the manner the deceased is to be mourned and the conveyance of his remains. Matters of conscience for both the deceased and the family should not be sacrificed at the altar of convenience by the government. The family remains committed to the sixth Republican president being mourned in a befitting manner by both the nation, foreign dignitaries, and the family. The public will be informed on alternative arrangements amongst the available options. I thank you.
What followed was high drama and low trust. Posts flooded social media, some from PF cadres, others from anonymous accounts with profile pictures of Zambian flags and suspicious grammar, claiming the government tried to snatch the body from the Pretoria hospital under cover of night. Medical staff allegedly pushed back, and while no one has confirmed it, the idea of a hospital nurse wrestling with a Zambian bureaucrat over a casket has already inspired at least 3 protest songs and a WhatsApp sticker pack. The PF, not known for subtlety, accused the government of creeping authoritarianism, as if the ghost of Lungu was now a political detainee. Meanwhile, President Hichilema, seemingly allergic to scandal but constantly marinated in it, responded with the tone of a man who has already drafted his own funeral protocol just to avoid this mess. He called for calm, unity, dignity, a funeral above partisanship.
Fellow citizens, it has now been 7 days, since the untimely passing of our 6th Republican President, Mr. Edgar Lungu. Our thoughts remain with the bereaved family, whose pain is shared by many across the nation. I wish to make a solemn call, a call for peace, a call for love, a call for unity. Let us embrace the bereaved family, the Patriotic Front Party, and their supporters with compassion and solidarity. Our political differences do not make us enemies. They make us participants in a dynamic democracy, a family with different views but shared aspirations. This diversity of opinion is a fundamental right that must be protected, especially in times of national mourning. We understand that some among us may express their pain through anger. And while this is human, or a human response to loss, we must meet it with understanding, patience, and indeed restraint. Now more than ever, compassion must guide our actions. To our members in the UPND, to other political parties, or national stakeholders, I urge you to respond to this moment with dignity, empathy, and respect. Do not allow yourselves to be drawn into provocation or division fueled by those who seek to exploit our pain for political gain. Let love lead. Let unity bind us. Let our conduct reflect the greatness of our spirit as Zambians. As president, my sacred duty is to serve all citizens, regardless of political affiliation, ethnicity, race, or creed. Now is the time to put aside our differences, to rise above division, to work together for the common good. We make this humble and sincere plea. Let us allow the people of Zambia to bid farewell to their former president with respect and honor that befits the high office he once held.
But Alas, unity is hard to come by when your predecessor once locked you up for not pulling over. Yes, let's rewind to 2017 when Lungu accused Hichilema of treason because his convoy didn't make way for presidential motorcade VIP clearance. HH was arrested, jailed for over 100 days, and emerged as Zambia's accidental Mandela, albeit with fewer wrinkles and more cattle ranch PowerPoint slides. So you see, this funeral isn't just about a dead president. There was real beef between these two. I wonder why.
How would you describe your relationship with the former president, Edgar Lungu?
He put me behind bars 15 times. The expectation of the people was that I'll put him behind bars.
But he didn't. Even though, during his presidency, Edgar Lungu discovered what many leaders in fragile democracies eventually realize: the presidency is a poor man's get-rich-quick scheme. In 2018, reports surfaced that Lungu received land in Eswatini, a plot in a Gulf estate worth millions. Swazi media, never known for subtlety, noted that land was held by one Mikelos Shakantu, a man who builds roads by day and political reputations by night. Add to this a mansion valued at $4 million, contracts funneled to Inyati Construction, and shares in Swazi Mobile that allegedly made Lungu a telecom tycoon in absentia. The Zambian Financial Intelligence Center prepared a memo in 2019, but it was only sent to Eswatini in 2021, conveniently after Lungu was out of office and no longer in charge of the post office. After Lungu lost the 2021 election, the real fireworks began. See you after the break. Let's get back to it. Former President Edgar Lungu's son, Dalitso, and daughter-in-law, Matilda, were arrested for possessing 69 cars. That's right, 69. A number normally reserved for jokes or awkward text messages became a corruption statistic. Their properties, worth over $5 million, were seized. Lungu's wife, Esther, and daughter, Tassila, joined the parade of legal woes with charges related to properties and funds whose origins remain as mysterious as the taste of Zesco load shedding. In 2024, even more arrests followed, leading PF loyalists to cry witch hunt again. The government, however, insists it's not personal, just protecting public funds, they say, as they draft press statements between legal filings and fuel subsidy adjustments. In the end, what does Zambia do with a president who jailed his rival, allegedly looted the treasury, inspired regional sanctions, and still commands loyalty from people who believe corruption is just aggressive entrepreneurship? Hichilema's team wants to close the chapter with dignity, but the PF insists the book was never written fairly. They accuse him of trying to bury Lungu twice, once in a coffin and again in memory. As of this recording, Lungu's body is somewhere between Pretoria's cathedral and Zambia's customs department. His family is choosing hymn books and handcuffs, while Makebi Zulu gives more press conferences than the Ministry of Health. And so Zambia watches, a nation divided by party, by grief, by rumors. A nation where the dead are never just dead, they are legacy projects with pulse. One hopes that eventually Edgar Lungu will be laid to rest, not just in soil, but in truth. But speaking of truth, let's talk corruption, or as the Patriotic Front prefers to call it, economic empowerment through proximity to power, right after the break. After Lungu lost the 2021 election, the man vanished faster than Zesco during a thunderstorm. But while Lungu disappeared from press briefings and marathon jogging events, his extended family seemed to be sprinting through car dealerships, land registries, and housing agencies at a pace that would exhaust Usain Bolt's accountant. Let's now get into the gospel of the 69 cars. We begin our miracle of multiplication not in Galilee but in Lusaka, where Lungu's son Dalitso and his wife Matilda somehow acquired 69 motor vehicles during a presidency that claimed to prioritize servant leadership. One hopes the service they were referring to was automotive. 69, not 6, not 9, 69. Some were luxury SUVs, others sporty sedans, a few still bearing dealership plastic. It was less a garage and more a fleet, a car for every mood, a car for every judge, a car for every excuse not to walk. Next comes Tasila Lungu, former Lusaka councillor, professional family defender, and part-time land acquisition enthusiast. During her father's reign, Tasila acquired properties across Lusaka and Ndola with the kind of energy that usually accompanies spiritual callings or World Cup hosting bids. When cornered about how she afforded plots worth millions, she claimed it came from farming. Yes, farming. A cucumber empire, perhaps, or goat exports to Dubai. The specifics were vague. The receipts, even more vague. But the Anti-Corruption Commission wasn't buying it. They placed her under investigation, especially after the revelation that one of her companies won lucrative road construction tenders, despite no history of civil engineering or even owning a wheelbarrow. The narrative, of course, was that all this was a political witch hunt. Tasila told media outlets that she was being targeted because of her father, which may be true, just not in the way she meant. After the break, we will talk Edgar Lungu, the First Lady of Gifts. As promised, we now pivot to Edgar Lungu, Zambia's former First Lady, who allegedly received vast amounts of money and gifts during her husband's presidency. These included cash, jewelry, vehicles, and property, enough to make even Dubai's princesses take some notes. Her name appeared in several suspicious bank transactions, one of which was linked to a donation from a Chinese philanthropist who also happened to win multiple construction contracts during Lungu's tenure. The First Lady's Foundation, like many First Lady foundations in Africa, became a perfect holding bay for generosity with ulterior motives. People donated not for orphans, but for access, because nothing says I love children like a land title deed. In 2023, Esther was summoned by the DEC for questioning. Her reaction was swift: a counter lawsuit for harassment and a public letter to President Hichilema reminding him to respect women, which, while a worthy cause, felt more like hiding behind feminism than upholding it. Zambians watched in muted amusement as the former First Lady arrived for questioning in a convoy longer than the university graduation line, flanked by PF officials and women's leagues who believed an attack on Esther was an attack on motherhood itself. Apparently, accountability is now a threat to the African uterus. By late 2024, investigations had uncovered real estate holdings across Lusaka, Chongwe, Ndola, and even a guest house in Mfuwe, allegedly purchased in cash. In total, properties linked to the Lungu family were estimated at over 130 million kwacha, an amount that makes one question how many months a Zambian president actually works in a year, how many months rather, and whether civil service includes diamond mining in weekends. In fact, so prolific was the asset trail that the ACC had to create a task force just for the Lungu family docket. That's not a joke. It was dubbed Project Chagwa, a clever play on his middle name and the Bemba word for fallen. Naturally, the PF accused HH of using state institutions as political hounds. One MP went as far as claiming that under Hichilema, even Jesus would have been arrested for turning water into wine without a manufacturing permit. As pressure mounted, Edgar Lungu announced in late 2023 that he was returning to active politics. Apparently, early retirement, surrounded by lawyers, embattled children, and frozen bank accounts, didn't offer enough adrenaline. The Electoral Commission of Zambia reminded him that he had already served 2 terms and was therefore ineligible. Lungu insisted the first term didn't count because it was only 18 months, like arguing you didn't eat the full cake, just the icing. Legal scholars began dueling like sorcerers, one camp swearing the Constitution barred him, the other citing loopholes so wide they could fit 69 cars. Eventually, the Constitutional Court ruled no comeback for you. But in Africa, no is just the beginning of negotiations. Lungu stayed visible, attending PF events, giving cryptic interviews and jogging in the company of young men who looked suspiciously like unpaid security interns. In the court of public opinion, PF supporters spun a new gospel. They are persecuting us because we succeeded where they failed. They claimed Hichilema feared Lungu's popularity, that the corruption charges were fabricated by jealous technocrats, that the family's wealth was just hard-earned and misunderstood. This defense would be touching if it didn't require the public to believe that in a country with rampant youth unemployment, one family just happened to unlock Zambia's version of the treasure map. It's like saying a man found gold at the back of his fridge and then insists he was looking for tomato sauce. This is Second Take. We wrap this up after the break. What's devastating about the Lungu corruption saga isn't just the volume of assets, it's the normalization of it. Zambians aren't shocked anymore. They're tired of stolen dreams, of broken public hospitals, of potholes deep enough to hide secret bank accounts. Corruption has become background noise, something you live with like mosquitoes or fuel queues. And Lungu's saga is not isolated. It's a mirror. Because if you shook the closets of half the region's former presidents, you'd hear the rustle of undeclared land titles and untraceable shares. The difference? In Zambia, someone finally tried to clean the closet and found it was attached to a 12-bedroom mansion. As the Lungu family prepares to bury their patriarch, they are not just saying farewell to a man, they're defending a dynasty, a philosophy, a lifestyle, one that believes public office is not a responsibility, but a transaction, one that treats elections as licenses and immunity as birthright. But Zambia may be changing, slowly, unevenly, through trials, tribulations, and tireless watchdogs. The question now is not whether the Lungu era is over, but whether the system that allowed it will die with it. Because until then, every new president is just a mansion waiting to happen. My name is Ashwin Berry. That has been my unapologetic Second Take. Good night.